Seasonal allergies are relentless, and just as they don't sleep, they often don't let us get a very good night's sleep either. So here's a simple but effective stepwise approach to getting a great night's sleep sneeze-free. Now, you may have heard the expression prevention is better than cure, and that couldn't be more true when it comes to seasonal allergies, because once an allergen like a tree or grass pollen comes along, it sets off a cascade of inflammatory and allergic reactions throughout our body, and in particular in our nasal passages, that ends in the release of a chemical called histamine. Now, histamine is what's responsible for that runny or congested nose, those itchy eyes, and all of that sneezing. The problem is that once it's released, your hay fever gets into full swing and it's not easily calmed down. So it would really be ideal if we could predict and preempt these pollens to prevent us getting that allergic response in the first place. You can actually buy home allergy testing kits, which will give you an idea of which type of pollens you might be reacting to in the environment. Or an easier thing to do might just be to monitor your symptoms, particularly over those spring and summer months, and then just to hop online and to be able to take a look at which types of pollen are highest in your particular area at that time. So if you know the month that your symptoms might typically flare up in advance, one of the things you might want to do is take an oral antihistamine tablet, something like loratadine or cetirizine, every day in the 1 month leading up to your onset of symptoms. This primes your mast cells to prevent the release of histamine and overall controls your symptoms much better than if you're reacting to the symptoms. Typically, as doctors, we like to recommend non-sedating antihistamines because those are the ones that don't make you drowsy during the daytime. These are medications like cetirizine and loratadine. But if we're thinking about protecting our sleep with ongoing allergies, then you might want to consider a sedating antihistamine just to give you the added sedative effect at night. That might be something like diphenhydramine or Benadryl or chlorpheniramine. Just be aware that these types of medications can leave you with a bit of a hangover effect in the morning if you do take them. Whilst we're on the subject of prevention, here's an interesting one. There is quite a bit of evidence actually to show that probiotics might have an effect on benefiting allergies, particularly seasonal allergies. Another basic rule of thumb when it comes to allergies is removing the allergen itself. This can be particularly tricky with something like seasonal allergic rhinitis or hay fever, where the onset of symptoms do tend to cluster around those summer months. That temptation is there to open the windows, but by doing so, you're letting all of those pollens in, and often your symptoms will flare up. What you could do is just keep your windows shut and turn on some fans, or if you've got an air conditioning unit, then you could use that. There's also the option of adding a physical barrier to those surfaces that get most affected by allergies. So by adding petroleum jelly to your nostrils, for example, this can sometimes help. Or at nighttime, if you want to, you could wear an eye mask and protect your eyes. Some people do effectively use nasal irrigation solutions to wash out their nasal passages with saline, and a lot of people find this extremely beneficial. Other than shutting the windows, there's not a huge amount of changing your environment that you can do, but some people do try and use humidifiers. The only problem with this is there is some evidence that humidifiers could also increase the amount of allergens in the environment. As well as that, if you're in a really humid environment, it makes it even harder for your sweat to evaporate from the surface of your skin. The next strategy is to use a nasal steroid spray or a nasal antihistamine spray. Typically, I advise using these after you have used something like a nasal irrigation solution, because then you know your nasal passages are really clear and whatever you're trying to squirt up there or spray up there should be getting to the right place. So with nasal steroid sprays, technique is everything. There are loads and loads of really good videos online on how to use nasal sprays, so I won't go into loads and loads of detail, but effectively, you don't want to be squirting the stuff right back, because you'll end up tasting it in the back of your mouth, and if you can taste it, it's not going to the right place. So you want to be putting it into the opposite nostril and squirting it so that it's sort of pointed towards the top of your ear, but going into the nostril. Sometimes there's a bit of concern from people when they hear that these are steroid sprays, but generally speaking, ENT doctors suggest to continue using a nasal steroid spray throughout the season in which you're suffering. Here in the UK, you can actually get some nasal sprays directly from a pharmacist rather than going to see your GP. The other thing is knowing that pollens can effectively stick to your clothes. So if you're in pajamas that have been hung and dried outside on the washing line, they may actually be carrying some of the pollens on your clothes. Finally, for those itchy eyes, like I said, you could simply use an eye mask and that might help to some degree. Or you could also buy some sodium chromoglycate drops over the counter. There are also some prescribed eye drops that can be used for allergic eye symptoms. That's just a really quick one to get on top of your seasonal allergies, particularly if you're trying to sleep better. The last thing you need is for your allergies to be keeping you up. As you may be able to tell, I've been sweating quite a lot throughout this video, and that's because it's getting quite hot here in the UK as the summer heats up. In light of this, I've made a few videos on how you can sleep better in summer, so you can take a look up here for more. But until next time, bye!